The gray dawn barely pierced through the thick fog that shrouded the forest. Max, a German shepherd from the K-9 unit, nervously shifted from paw to paw beside the service jeep while his handler, Jack Riley, checked their equipment. The silence around them was broken only by the restless rustle of leaves and the gentle breeze and the hum of rescuers gathering nearby. 6-year-old Samuel Corner disappeared yesterday around 3:30 p.m. during a family picnic. Sheriff Donovan unfolded a map before the assembled team. Parents lost sight of him for just a few minutes. The search continued until late night without results. Temperature dropped to 46 degrees, so time is critical. Max looked from face to face, as if understanding every word. He wasn't just a service dog. In 7 years of work, he had saved 17 lives and had a reputation as the best search and rescue dog in the county. Riley, you and Max checked the northern sector. Donovan pointed to an area on the map. Do we have the boys' items for scent? Samuel's mother, her eyes red from tears, held out a small red baseball cap. Jack carefully took it, allowing Max to thoroughly study the scent. Find, Max, find, Jack quietly commanded, and the shepherd immediately lowered his nose to the ground, inhaling the air in short breaths. They moved into the forest. Jack knew that Max was now fully focused, his hypersensitive nose filtering thousands of scents, damp earth, fallen leaves, small animals, isolating the only one that mattered. The trees grew denser as they advanced deeper. Jack kept his eyes on Max, watching for subtle changes in the dog's behavior. After 20 minutes, Max suddenly stopped, his ears perking up. He lifted his head, sniffed the air intently, then darted to the right with newfound determination. You got something, boy? Jack hurried after him, careful not to disturb whatever trail Max had detected. They crossed a small stream, the water shallow enough to wade through. Max didn't hesitate, plunging in and continuing on the other side with unwavering focus. Jack followed, his boots filling with cold water, but he barely noticed. 3 hours into the search, Jack's radio crackled. Riley, report status. Sheriff Donovan's voice came through. Still tracking. Max seems to have picked up something, heading northeast now. Roger that. Other teams found nothing yet. Keep us posted. By midday, the fog had lifted, but dark clouds gathered overhead. Jack checked his watch, concerned. They'd been searching for 6 hours straight. Even Max's legendary endurance had limits. Max, come, Jack called, pulling out a collapsible water bowl. Take a break, boy. The shepherd reluctantly returned, lapping water quickly before turning back to the trail. Jack frowned. Max usually obeyed commands perfectly, but something about this search had him unusually determined. 5 more minutes, then we regroup, Jack told him, though he knew the dog couldn't understand the specifics. Thunder rumbled in the distance. The radio crackled again. All units, storm approaching. Return to base camp to regroup. Copy that, Jack responded. Heading back now. But Max had other ideas. Instead of following Jack back, he barked sharply, his alert signal, and bolted deeper into the woods. Max, heel, Jack shouted, but the dog was already weaving through undergrowth, following a scent only he could detect. Cursing, Jack radioed in. Donovan, Max has something. He's tracking northeast, approximately 2 miles from the picnic area. I'm following. The storm's almost on you, Riley. Be careful. Rain began to fall as Jack chased after his partner. The droplets quickly turned into a downpour, and Jack worried the rain would wash away whatever scent Max was following. Yet the shepherd continued determinedly, pausing occasionally to reconfirm the trail before pressing on. They reached a steep ravine, and Max skidded to a halt at the edge, barking frantically. Easy, boy, Jack approached cautiously, peering over. The ravine wasn't deep, maybe 15 feet, but the sides were steep and slippery with mud. At the bottom, barely visible through the rain and gathering darkness, lay a small, motionless form in a blue jacket. Samuel, Jack called, heart racing. Samuel Corner? No response. Jack quickly radioed for backup and medical support, giving coordinates. Then, securing a rope to a nearby tree, he began to descend, with Max whining anxiously from above. The boy lay curled on his side, soaked and covered in mud. Jack reached him and immediately checked for vital signs. A pulse, weak but present. The child was unconscious, hypothermic, with a nasty gash on his forehead, but alive. "Hang on, buddy," Jack whispered, wrapping the boy in his emergency thermal blanket. "Help is coming." In the chaos of the medical evacuation that followed, Jack lost track of Max. The shepherd had disappeared from the ravine's edge. Panic surged through him as he helped load Samuel into the rescue helicopter. "Anyone seen my dog?" he asked urgently. The rain continued to fall as night descended completely. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness as the remaining team searched not only for any evidence related to Samuel's disappearance, but now also for Max. "Riley," Sheriff Donovan called out, pointing his flashlight toward the forest. "Look!" From between the trees emerged a muddy, soaked German shepherd, limping slightly but tail wagging. In his mouth, he carried something small and wet, Samuel's other shoe, apparently lost during the fall. Jack dropped to his knees as Max approached, letting the dog drop the shoe at his feet before throwing his arms around the shepherd's neck. "You stubborn, brilliant dog," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. "You never give up, do you?" Max simply pressed against him, his mission accomplished, his loyalty unwavering even in the storm's fury. Neither of them could know that finding Samuel was just the beginning of their most challenging case, or that Max's determination would soon be tested beyond anything they had faced before. The fluorescent lights of Pinecrest Memorial Hospital cast harsh shadows as Jack paced the waiting room. Max sat perfectly still beside a plastic chair, ignoring the curious glances from nurses and visitors. Service dogs weren't unusual in hospitals, but something about the German shepherd's intense focus and mud-caked fur drew attention. "Officer Riley?" A doctor in blue scrubs approached, clipboard in hand. "I'm Dr. Winters. Samuel is stable now. Mild hypothermia, dehydration, and a concussion from the fall, but remarkably good condition considering the circumstances." Jack nodded, relief washing over him. "Can I see him?" "His parents are with him now. They'd like to thank you and your partner." Dr. Winters glanced at Max with a small smile. In the small hospital room, Samuel lay connected to monitors, his parents sitting vigilantly by his bedside. Mrs. Corner's eyes welled with tears as Jack entered, Max following closely behind. "Officer Riley," she whispered, rising to her feet. "I don't even know how to begin thanking you." Before Jack could respond, Max's behavior changed dramatically. The shepherd's ears pricked forward, his body stiffening as he stared intently at the boy. A low growl rumbled in his throat. "Max, easy," Jack commanded, surprised. Max had never displayed aggression toward a victim before, but the dog wasn't growling at Samuel. His eyes were fixed on something else, the boy's backpack hanging on a chair in the corner. Recognizing Max's alert behavior, Jack approached the backpack. "May I?" Mr. Corner nodded, confusion evident on his face. Jack carefully opened the bag. Inside were typical 6-year-old possessions, a small water bottle, a half-eaten granola bar, toy cars, and a well-worn stuffed dinosaur. Nothing unusual. Yet Max remained fixated, his posture screaming that something was wrong. "When did Samuel last use this backpack?" Jack asked, trying to understand Max's reaction. "Yesterday, at the picnic," Mrs. Corner replied. "We packed his snacks and toys in it." Jack ran his fingers along the inside of the bag, then checked the outer pockets. In a small side compartment, his fingers touched something unusual, a tiny plastic bag containing white powder. His expression must have changed, because Mr. Corner immediately asked, "What is it? What did you find?" Jack carefully extracted the bag. I'm not sure yet, but this shouldn't be in a child's backpack. Mrs. Corner gasped. That's not ours. We would never. I believe you, Jack assured her, already slipping the bag into an evidence pouch. But I need to ask, did Samuel wander off before? Or was he acting unusual prior to his disappearance? The parents exchanged worried glances. He was playing with another boy, Mrs. Corner said slowly. A child we hadn't seen before. I assumed he was with another family at the picnic area. This other boy, can you describe him? Older, maybe 10 or 11. Dark hair. I only saw him briefly. Jack's mind raced with possibilities, none of them good. If someone had deliberately planted contraband in Samuel's backpack, a 6-year-old would make an unsuspecting mule. I need to call this in, Jack said, stepping into the hallway to contact Sheriff Donovan. Max remained in the room, now sitting calmly by Samuel's bed, his earlier agitation replaced by protective vigilance. Sheriff Donovan arrived 30 minutes later, his weathered face grim as Jack briefed him outside Samuel's room. Lab's preliminary test confirms it's a Class A substance, Donovan said quietly. High grade, not the street stuff we usually see around here. Someone's using that picnic area as a drop point, and they're recruiting kids. Samuel probably had no idea what he was carrying, Jack said, disgusted. The question is, who's behind this? And how many other children are involved? Back in the room, Samuel had awakened, groggy but alert. His small hand reached out tentatively toward Max, who responded by moving closer, allowing the boy to touch his fur. The doggy found me, Samuel said, his voice thin and scratchy. When I was lost. Yes, he did, Jack confirmed, sitting beside the bed. Max is very good at finding people. Samuel, can I ask you about yesterday? About the boy you were playing with. Samuel's brow furrowed. Dexter. He said we could be secret friends. Secret friends. Jack exchanged glances with Donovan. What does that mean? He said grown-ups wouldn't understand our game. He gave me treasure to hide in my backpack. Samuel's innocent eyes revealed no understanding of what he'd been carrying. What did this treasure look like? Jack asked gently. Like little sugar packets. Dexter said if I kept them safe, he'd give me a toy from his collection. Samuel's voice dropped to a whisper. But then I got scared because Dexter's dad came. Jack leaned forward. Dexter's dad was there too? Samuel nodded, his small face suddenly fearful. He looked mad. He told Dexter they had to go. That's when I ran away and fell. Donovan stepped into the hallway to make a call, leaving Jack with the Corner family and Max. The shepherd had positioned himself directly between the door and Samuel's bed, a self-appointed guardian. You'll need protection, Jack told the family quietly, until we understand what Samuel witnessed and who these people are. That evening, as Jack and Max finally headed home, the rain had stopped, but the night remained heavy with humidity. Jack's small cabin on the edge of town was a welcome sight after the day's events. Inside, Jack fed Max a well-deserved meal and settled into his worn leather armchair, the case file spread before him on the coffee table. The picnic area was popular, frequented by dozens of families each weekend. The perfect cover for illegal transactions. Using children as unwitting carriers was both ingenious and despicable. A scratching noise at the window made Jack look up sharply. Max was already on his feet, hackles raised. Then came a sound that made Jack's blood run cold. The distinctive click of his back door being unlocked. Max's growl was different now, deeper, threatening. Jack reached for his service weapon, motioning for Max to take position. The back door swung open slowly, and a shadowed figure stepped inside. Max tensed, ready to spring. Federal agent, a woman's voice announced calmly. Lower your weapon, Officer Riley. We need to talk about Samuel Corner and what your dog really found. Max didn't relax, his eyes fixed on the intruder, waiting for Jack's command. a command that would determine whether this unexpected visitor was friend or foe in a case that had suddenly become far more dangerous than a simple rescue mission. Special Agent Catherine Vega, DEA, the woman said, showing her badge as she moved into the light. She was tall, with dark hair pulled back in a tight ponytail and eyes that missed nothing. Your dog has stumbled onto something much bigger than a lost child case. Jack didn't lower his weapon. Breaking and entering is still a crime, badge or not. I apologize for the unorthodox entrance, Agent Vega replied, her gaze drifting to Max, who remained poised to attack. But this situation requires discretion. You have a remarkable animal there. Jack slowly lowered his gun but kept it ready. Call your supervisor. I want confirmation. 10 minutes and one verified phone call later, Jack reluctantly holstered his weapon. Max, however, maintained his vigilant posture. Your dog doesn't trust easily, Vega observed. Neither do I, Jack replied. Especially when federal agents break into my home. What's this about? Vega placed a folder on the coffee table. We've been tracking a sophisticated distribution network for months. They've been using public recreation areas as exchange points, families, children, perfect cover. She gestured to the case files Jack had been reviewing. That substance your dog found in the corner boy's backpack? It's part of a new synthetic compound flooding the West Coast. And Dexter? The boy Samuel mentioned? Likely a recruiter. These networks use children to approach other children, less suspicious that way. Vega's expression hardened. We've identified 3 other cases in neighboring counties, all following the same pattern. But this is the first time we've recovered actual product. Jack processed this, anger building. They're using children as drug mules. Exactly. And we suspect there's a processing facility somewhere in this county. Your dog may have given us our first real lead. Jack looked at Max, who had finally relaxed slightly, though his eyes remained fixed on Vega. What do you need from us? We need Max, Vega stated simply. Drug detection dogs are trained for specific substances. This synthetic compound is new. Most canine units wouldn't alert to it. But yours did, without training. That's unusual. Jack felt a surge of protective pride. Max wasn't just a tool to be borrowed. He's not a drug dog. He's search and rescue. Yet he identified a substance he shouldn't have recognized. Vega leaned forward. Officer Riley, this network has distributed to at least 5 states. We've had 2 overdose deaths already. If your dog can track this compound, he could save countless lives. The gravity of her words hung in the air. Jack considered Max, who had finally settled at his feet, though still watchful. We're a team, Jack said firmly. Where he goes, I go. I wouldn't have it any other way. By dawn, a joint operation was taking shape. Jack, Max, Agent Vega, and Sheriff Donovan gathered at the station to coordinate with DEA field agents joining remotely. We have a name for our suspect, Vega announced, posting a grainy surveillance photo. Julian Mercer, known distributor with connections to cartel supply chains. We believe he's overseeing the local operation. Jack studied the image, a sharp-featured man with cold eyes. And the boy, Dexter? Vega's expression tightened. We think he's Mercer's son. The revelation hit Jack hard. He's using his own child to recruit other kids? Makes it harder to trace back to him, Donovan noted grimly. The plan came together quickly. Jack and Max would return to the picnic area, now secured as a crime scene, to see if Max could pick up any additional traces of the substance. The Shepherd would be fitted with a specialized tactical vest, complete with GPS and a small camera. As Jack secured the vest on Max, he felt a mix of pride and worry. This wasn't a simple search mission. They were hunting dangerous people who wouldn't hesitate to protect their operation. Stay close to me, he murmured to Max, who responded with an alert bark. The picnic area, normally filled with families and laughter, was eerily silent that morning, cordoned off with yellow police tape. A light mist hung over the clearing, giving the entire scene a ghostly quality. Jack unclipped Max's leash. "Find Max." Like before, the shepherd immediately began working the area, nose to the ground, moving in a systematic pattern Jack recognized from their training. Max circled the picnic tables, the trash bins, the edge of the forest, all while Vega and a DEA tech specialist tracked his movements remotely. After 10 minutes, Max stopped abruptly near a large oak tree, pawing at the ground and giving his alert signal. "He's got something," Jack called. The team converged on the spot. A thorough search revealed nothing visible, but when they checked the base of the tree more carefully, they found a small hollow, cleverly disguised with bark and moss. Inside was a waterproof container with several packets of the white powder. "A dead drop," Vega explained, as techs carefully secured the evidence. "This confirms they're using this location regularly." Max wasn't finished. He continued working, leading them to a narrow trail barely visible among the underbrush. The path wound through dense forest for nearly half a mile before opening onto a small clearing with a dilapidated cabin. The team took positions, approaching with tactical precision. Jack kept Max close, one hand on his tactical vest. The cabin appeared abandoned, windows boarded, roof partially collapsed. "Stay back," Vega ordered, drawing her weapon as she approached with two other agents. They cleared the cabin quickly. Inside, the space was empty except for a single folding table and what appeared to be a trap door in the floor. "Underground bunker," Vega whispered, signaling for backup. Classic move for operations like this. The trapdoor led to a surprisingly sophisticated space, a fully equipped lab for processing and packaging the synthetic substance. It was clean, recently used, but currently empty. "We just missed them," Donovan muttered, frustration evident. But Max was agitated, moving around the bunker with growing intensity. He kept returning to a wall of empty metal shelving, barking insistently. Jack approached, running his hands along the shelves. "There's something here, boy? What is it?" A slight depression in the wall caught his attention. Pushing against it revealed another hidden compartment, this one containing a laptop and several notebooks. "Jackpot," Vega breathed, immediately calling for a tech specialist. The notebooks contained detailed distribution routes, contact information coded in a simple cipher, and most disturbingly, a list of schools with children's names marked with different colored dots. "Recruitment targets," Vega explained grimly. "Red dots are likely already involved. Blue are potential recruits." Jack scanned the list, his stomach turning. "Samuel's name is here. Red dot." The investigation shifted into high gear. While techs processed the bunker, Jack and Max were tasked with checking other locations mentioned in the notebooks. By mid-afternoon, they had identified 2 more drop points, each yielding additional evidence. Max worked tirelessly, his focus unwavering despite the long hours. Jack ensured he had water and rest breaks, but the shepherd seemed driven by an almost supernatural sense of purpose. As sunset approached, they reached the final location, an abandoned gas station on the outskirts of town. Max's behavior changed immediately upon arrival. His hackles raised, a low growl rumbled in his throat. "Someone's here," Jack whispered into his radio, drawing his weapon. "Max is alerting." Vega's voice crackled in response. "Hold position. Backup is 3 minutes out." But Max suddenly bolted toward the building, barking fiercely. "Max, heal," Jack shouted, but it was too late. The shepherd disappeared around the corner of the building. Jack heard a shout, then a gunshot that echoed across the empty lot. "Officer down! Officer down!" Jack yelled into his radio, racing after Max with his heart in his throat. He rounded the corner to find Max locked onto the arm of a man who matched Julian Mercer's description. The man was struggling to aim a pistol at the dog with his free hand. "Police! Drop the weapon!" Jack shouted, his own gun trained on Mercer. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Mercer swung his gun toward Jack. Max, sensing the threat, released the arm and lunged for the weapon. Another shot rang out. Max yelped, a sound Jack had never heard from his partner before. The shepherd stumbled, red blooming across his tactical vest. "Max!" Jack screamed, firing his own weapon as Mercer turned to run. "Max, stay with me, boy." Jack's voice broke as he pressed his jacket against the wound on Max's side. The shepherd's breathing was labored, his normally alert eyes growing dull. Backup agents swarmed the scene, some pursuing Mercer, others securing the gas station. But Jack's world had narrowed to the bleeding animal beneath his hands. "We need a vet now," he shouted, cradling Max's head. The dog tried to lick his hand, still trying to comfort his partner even while injured. Agent Vega knelt beside them, already on her phone. "Dr. Landon is meeting us at Pine Valley Animal Hospital. It's 10 minutes away. Can Max make it?" Jack nodded grimly, gathering his partner in his arms. Max was heavy, but adrenaline gave Jack strength as he carried him to the SUV. "Hold on, Max," he whispered, climbing into the back seat with the shepherd still in his arms. "Just hold on." The drive was a blur. Jack kept pressure on the wound, talking constantly to Max, whose eyes remained fixed on him despite the pain. "You're the best partner I've ever had," Jack murmured. "Don't you dare give up now." Dr. Landon was waiting when they arrived, a middle-aged woman with efficient movements and calm eyes. "Gunshot wound?" she asked, helping transfer Max to a gurney. "Upper right shoulder," Jack confirmed, his hands covered in blood. "He jumped in front of a bullet meant for me." The veterinarian nodded, wheeling Max into surgery. "Wait here. I'll do everything I can." Jack collapsed into a plastic chair, trembling now that Max was out of his arms. Vega sat beside him, offering a coffee he didn't want. "Mercer got away," she said quietly. "But we'll find him. Your shot hit him in the leg. He's leaving a blood trail." Jack barely heard her. His focus was on the closed surgery doors, beyond which Max was fighting for his life. "He's going to make it," Vega added, with surprising gentleness. "That's one hell of a dog you've got." 3 agonizing hours later, Dr. Landon emerged, surgical mask hanging around her neck. Jack stood immediately, searching her face for answers. "He's stable," she said, and Jack felt his knees weaken with relief. The bullet missed his vital organs, but he lost a lot of blood. "He's young, strong, and remarkably determined. I've seen dogs with less severe injuries give up, but yours..." She shook her head in admiration. "He's a fighter. Can I see him?" She nodded, leading him to a recovery room. Max lay on a bed, hooked to and fore, his shoulder heavily bandaged. Despite the sedation, his tail thumped weakly when he saw Jack. "Hey, partner," Jack whispered, kneeling beside the bed. "You did good. So good." For the first time since Samuel Corner went missing, Jack allowed himself to cry, his forehead resting gently against Max's uninjured side. Outside the recovery room, Vega received an update from the field team. She entered quietly, waiting for Jack to compose himself before speaking. "We've got a lead on Mercer. His vehicle was spotted heading toward the mountains, likely to a secondary location. And there's more. We think Dexter is with him." Jack looked up sharply. "The boy? His own son? A hostage, bargaining chip? Or just doesn't want to leave witnesses? We're not sure. But we need to move, and we need Max's skills." Jack stood, protective anger flaring. "Max is out of commission. Look at him. I know, and I'm sorry. But we've got a tactical unit ready to go after them. What we need from you is insight." She held out a child's backpack. "This was found at the gas station. We believe it's Dexter's." Jack hesitated, then took the backpack. For a moment, he stood torn between staying with his injured partner and helping find a child in danger. Max whined softly, as if sensing his dilemma. "I'll be back soon," Jack promised, running a gentle hand over Max's head. "Rest now." At the command center established in the sheriff's office, Jack examined the backpack with the team. Inside were typical items: a handheld game device, snacks, a water bottle, but also a worn notebook filled with childish drawings. Jack flipped through it carefully. Most were typical spaceships, superheroes, but several pages depicted what appeared to be the gas station and other drop points they'd discovered. One drawing showed a cabin by a lake, with mountains in the background. "I know this place," Sheriff Donovan said, peering over Jack's shoulder. "That's Miller's Lake, up in the Northwoods. There's an old hunting cabin that matches this exactly." "How far?" Vega asked. 40 minutes by road, then a hike. Rough terrain." Vega nodded, already coordinating with her team. "We move in an hour." "Riley, you're with us as an advisor only." "Clear." Jack agreed, though reluctantly. The thought of Dexter, a child used by his own father for criminal activities, alone in the mountains with an injured, desperate Mercer filled him with dread. Before leaving, Jack returned to check on Max. The shepherd was sleeping but opened his eyes when Jack entered. "I have to go help another kid," Jack explained softly. "But I'll be back. You focus on getting better." Max struggled to rise, a whimper escaping him. "No, boy. Stay." Jack gently pressed him back down. "This one's on me." But as he turned to leave, Max's distress increased. He barked weakly, eyes fixed on Jack with an intensity that transcended words. Dr. Landon entered, concerned by the noise. "You shouldn't be agitated right now. What's happening?" "I need to leave for a mission," Jack explained. "He wants to come." The vet checked Max's vitals. "He's remarkably strong for what he's been through. The wound is stable, and his levels are improving." She hesitated. "I wouldn't recommend it, but..." "But what?" "If he stays quiet, avoids exertion, and remains on the floor until departure." She sighed. "I've worked with service dogs for 20 years. Sometimes their need to work, to fulfill their purpose, is as important as physical recovery." Jack looked at Max, whose eyes hadn't left his face. "You really want this, don't you?" Max's tail thumped against the bed. An hour later, the tactical team assembled at the trailhead near Miller's Lake. Jack helped secure Max in a specialized K-9 transport harness that would allow him to be carried while keeping his four connected. The shepherd was alert but subdued, clearly conserving his strength. He rides in, stays in the command vehicle, and provides scent identification only, Vega stated firmly. "No pursuit, no engagement." Jack nodded, grateful for even this limited involvement. He wouldn't say it aloud, but having Max with him settled something in his chest that had been tight since the shooting. The hike to the cabin was arduous, requiring careful navigation through dense forest. Max remained calm in his carrier, occasionally lifting his head to sniff the air. As they approached the final ridge overlooking the cabin, Jack noticed Max's posture change. He became alert, focused. Through binoculars, Jack observed the cabin. A black SUV was partially hidden behind it, matching the description of Mercer's vehicle. Smoke rose from the chimney. 2 heat signatures inside, the tactical leader reported, checking thermal imaging. 1 adult-sized, 1 smaller. "Mercer and Dexter," Vega confirmed. "We need to be careful. He'll use the boy as leverage." The team spread out, establishing a perimeter. Jack stayed back with Max in the command position, monitoring communications. The plan was simple: surround the cabin, call for surrender, and move in only if necessary. But plans rarely survive first contact. As agents took position, a shout came from the cabin, followed by the sound of breaking glass. Mercer had spotted them. Movement at the rear. Someone called over the radio. "He's running with the boy." Jack watched in horror as Mercer emerged from the back of the cabin, dragging Dexter by the arm. The boy was struggling, his face tear-streaked and frightened. In that moment, Max let out a sharp bark, straining against his harness. His eyes were fixed on the escaping figures with the same intense focus he'd shown when tracking Samuel. "Max has their scent," Jack reported, an idea forming. "They're heading into the dense woods. Your team will lose them in that terrain." Vega hesitated. "What are you suggesting?" "Let Max guide us, not pursuit, just direction. He can track them from a distance." It was a risk, but Mercer was disappearing into the forest. And with each passing moment, the danger to Dexter increased. Vega gave a curt nod. "Do it." Jack released Max from the carrier, but kept him on a secure lead. The shepherd stood shakily at first, then firmer, nose already working the air currents. "Find them, Max," Jack said softly. "But take it easy." With remarkable discipline, Max began tracking, moving steadily but carefully, mindful of his injury. He led them along a path parallel to Mercer's escape route, staying downwind. "He's not just following," Jack explained quietly to Vega as they moved. "He's anticipating their direction." Through dense underbrush and across a shallow stream, Max tracked without faltering. At a fork in the path, he paused, considering, then chose the steeper route without hesitation. "The terrain gets rough ahead," Donovan warned. "Drops off into a ravine." Jack nodded grimly. "He's cornering himself." Sure enough, they soon heard voices ahead, Mercer's angry commands and Dexter's frightened pleas. The agents spread out, surrounding the area without being seen. "Julian Mercer," Vega called out. "Federal agents. Release the boy and surrender." A gunshot rang out in response, splintering bark from a nearby tree. "Stay back, or I'll kill him," Mercer shouted. "I want a vehicle and clear passage." Jack peered through the brush. Mercer stood at the edge of the ravine, bleeding from his leg wound, one arm locked around Dexter's neck. The boy's eyes were wide with terror. "There's no way out, Mercer," Vega responded. "Let the boy go, and we can talk." Another shot, this one closer to their position. Max tensed beside Jack, a low growl building in his throat. "Easy," Jack whispered, though his own heart was racing. The standoff was deteriorating rapidly. Then, Dexter's frightened voice cut through the tension. "Dad, please, you're hurting me." Something in Mercer's expression changed, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. He loosened his grip slightly, and in that moment of hesitation, Max acted. Despite his injury, despite Jack's command to stay, the shepherd lunged forward, clearing the underbrush in a single powerful bound. He didn't attack Mercer. Instead, he positioned himself between Dexter and the edge of the ravine, barking with authority that seemed to startle both man and boy. The distraction was enough. Mercer's grip slackened further, and Dexter twisted free, stumbling away from the edge. Vega and her team converged, weapons trained on Mercer. "It's over," Vega declared. "On the ground now." For a terrible moment, Mercer looked ready to fight. Then his eyes met his son's, and something broke in his expression. He dropped his weapon and sank to his knees. As agents moved in to secure Mercer, Jack rushed to Max, who stood guard beside Dexter. The shepherd was panting heavily, his bandage showing fresh spots of blood, but his eyes were clear and alert. "You never follow orders, do you?" Jack murmured, dropping to one knee beside his partner. Max responded by licking his face once, then turning his attention back to Dexter. The boy stood trembling, tears streaming down his face. Hesitantly, he reached out to touch Max's fur. "He saved me," Dexter whispered, "like he saved that other kid." Jack nodded. "That's what he does, even when he shouldn't." As medical personnel attended to Dexter and agents led Mercer away, Jack checked Max's wound. The exertion had reopened it slightly, but the determination in the shepherd's eyes made one thing clear. Max would never stay behind when someone needed finding. "Let's go home, partner," Jack said softly. "Mission accomplished." Max wagged his tail once, then leaned against Jack's leg, finally allowing himself to show his exhaustion. Together, they watched as Dexter was guided towards safety, the boy looking back once with an expression of wonder at the dog who had stood between him and harm. In that moment, Jack understood that Max's unwavering faith in him, in their mission, and the inherent value of every life they saved was a gift beyond measure. And as the shepherd pressed against him, Jack silently vowed to be worthy of it. 6 weeks after the raid at Miller's Lake, Jack sat on his porch, watching Max chase butterflies across the yard. The shepherd moved with only the slightest hint of stiffness in his right shoulder, a remarkable recovery that Dr. Landon called nothing short of miraculous. "He's not supposed to be running yet," Jack called out, though without much conviction. Max responded with what could only be described as a canine grin, tongue lolling as he trotted back to the porch. The phone rang inside. Jack answered to hear Sheriff Donovan's voice. "Thought you'd want to know. Mercer took the plea deal. 20 years minimum. The intel he provided has led to arrests in 3 states. And Dexter?" Jack asked, watching Max settle at his feet. "Foster placement is working out well. He's in therapy, making progress." Asked about Max again. Jack smiled. "Tell him we'll visit next week." After hanging up, Jack returned to the porch with a manila envelope. Inside were commendation papers, formal recognition of Max's extraordinary service. The department had created a special Medal of Valor for him, the first ever awarded to a K-9 officer in the county. "Don't let it go to your head," Jack told Max, who sniffed the papers with mild interest. "Celebrity status doesn't get you extra treats." Max's ears perked up at treats, making Jack chuckle. Something's never changed. A car pulled into the driveway, Agent Vega's government-issued sedan. She emerged with a small boy beside her. "Hope we're not interrupting," she called. Someone wanted to see Max. Samuel Corner ran forward, stopping a few feet from the porch. He looked healthier now, the haunted expression gone from his eyes. "Hi, Officer Riley." "Hi, Max," he said, his voice carrying a newfound confidence. Max immediately approached the boy, tail wagging. Samuel knelt, wrapping his arms around the shepherd's neck in a gentle hug. "I drew this for Max," Samuel said, handing Jack a colorful picture of a German shepherd wearing what appeared to be a superhero cape. "He'll love it," Jack assured him, touched by the gesture. "It's going right on the refrigerator." Vega joined them on the porch while Samuel played fetch with Max in the yard. "The Corner family is doing well," she reported. The department arranged protection until the last of Mercer's associates were rounded up. Samuel's been telling everyone how Max saved him. Jack nodded, watching the boy and dog together. "He's not wrong. I've been authorized to make you an offer," Vega continued, her tone shifting to business. "The DEA is creating a specialized K-9 unit for tracking synthetic compounds. Max has proven he has unique abilities in this area. We'd like you both to consult on the program. You want Max to train other dogs? And their handlers. Your bond with him is as important as his natural talents." She handed him a folder. "The position would be part-time, allowing you to maintain your current duties. Think about it." As Vega left with Samuel, promising to bring him for another visit soon, Jack settled back in his chair, turning the offer over in his mind. The idea of helping other K-9 teams develop the kind of connection he shared with Max was appealing. He was interrupted by the sound of tires on gravel. A social services vehicle appeared, and a familiar face emerged, Dexter Mercer, accompanied by his caseworker. Jack stood, surprised. He had planned to visit the boy next week, not expecting him today. Dexter approached cautiously, his eyes searching for Max. When the shepherd came bounding around the corner of the house, the boy's face lit up. "Officer Riley," Dexter said, his voice quiet but steady. "I asked if I could come see Max. Is that okay?" "Of course," Jack replied, noting how different Dexter looked from the frightened child at the ravine. "He's been showing off all day. I think he has a sixth sense for visitors." Dexter knelt as Max approached. Unlike Samuel's exuberant greeting, Dexter's interaction with Max was more cautious, filled with a mixture of awe and lingering fear. "I'm sorry," he whispered to the dog, "for everything my dad made me do." Max responded by gently placing his paw on Dexter's knee, as if absolving him of guilt. The simple gesture brought tears to the boy's eyes. Jack stepped inside, giving them a moment alone. Through the window, he watched as Dexter's rigid posture gradually relaxed, his hand eventually moving to stroke Max's fur. There was healing happening there, not the kind that came from medicine or therapy alone, but from the wordless understanding that animals sometimes offered when humans couldn't. Later, as the sun began to set, Jack and Max walked to their favorite spot by the creek behind the property. It had become a ritual during Max's recovery, a quiet place for both of them to reflect. "You've been busy making friends today," Jack observed as Max waded into the shallow water. "Samuel, Dexter, you're building quite the fan club." Max splashed playfully, seeming to enjoy the cool water against his healing shoulder. Jack thought about Vega's offer, about the children whose lives Max had touched, about the unique abilities his partner possessed that went far beyond standard training. The shepherd had an almost supernatural instinct for finding those who were lost, not just physically, but emotionally. "What do you think, Max?" he asked. "Ready to teach other dogs your tricks?" Max emerged from the creek, shaking water everywhere before settling beside Jack, pressing his warm body against his partner's leg. Jack smiled, running his hand through Max's damp fur. "I'll take that as a yes." The following week brought the official ceremony at the county building. Media had gathered, drawn by the story of the remarkable shepherd who had saved 2 children and helped dismantle a major criminal operation. Max sat patiently as the mayor placed a specially designed medallion around his neck, then followed Jack to the podium. Jack had prepared remarks, but looking out at the assembled crowd, Samuel and his parents, Dexter with his foster family, Dr. Landon, Agent Vega, Sheriff Donovan, and dozens of community members, he set the paper aside. "Max doesn't understand medals or commendations," Jack began, his hand resting on his partner's head. "What he understands is purpose. 7 years ago, when I was assigned a young, headstrong shepherd who couldn't seem to follow basic commands, I wondered if either of us was cut out for this work." Quiet laughter rippled through the audience. "But Max taught me something critical. Sometimes the rules need to be broken. Sometimes instinct trumps protocol. And sometimes the most important quality in a partner isn't obedience, but heart." Max looked up at him, ears perked forward as if understanding every word. This medal recognizes Max's bravery, but what can't be recognized with ceremony is the countless ways he's changed lives, mine included. Jack's voice grew thick with emotion. "Max doesn't just find people who are lost. He reminds the rest of us what it means to be found." After the ceremony, as people gathered to congratulate them and pet Max, Jack noticed Dexter hanging back, watching the shepherd with thoughtful eyes. The boy approached when the crowd thinned. "Officer Riley, can I ask you something?" "Sure, Dexter. What's on your mind?" "How did Max know? That day in the woods, how did he know what to do?" Jack considered the question carefully. "Max has instincts we can't fully explain, but I think, more than anything, he believes in people, even when they're lost or scared or have made mistakes." Dexter nodded slowly, processing this. Do you think I could ever work with dogs like Max someday?" The question caught Jack by surprise. "I think that's entirely possible. It takes patience, dedication, and a lot of trust. But if you're interested, maybe you could start by volunteering at the animal shelter when you're a bit older." Hope flickered across Dexter's face, perhaps the first real hope he'd experienced in a long time. That night, back home, Jack removed Max's ceremonial collar and replaced it with his everyday one. The shepherd seemed relieved to be out of the spotlight, settling into his bed with a contented sigh. Jack's phone buzzed with a text from Vega. "Program starts next month. You in?" He looked at Max, already half asleep. The most extraordinary, ordinary dog he'd ever known. "We're in," he replied. A week later, Jack and Max responded to another call, a hiker missing in the national forest. As they crossed the familiar terrain, Jack felt a profound sense of rightness. This was where they belonged, together, using their shared gifts to bring others home. Max moved ahead, nose to the ground, following an invisible trail that only he could detect. His stride was strong, confident, the injury now just another badge of honor in a life dedicated to service. Jack watched him with pride, knowing that whatever trail Max took, whatever instinct he followed, they would face it together. Their bond, forged through fire and strengthened by unwavering faith, was unbreakable. As if sensing his partner's thoughts, Max paused, looking back at Jack with those intelligent eyes that seemed to see far more than any human could perceive. "Lead the way, buddy," Jack said softly. "I'm right behind you." Max barked once, an affirmation, a promise, then turned and continued forward, a guardian on four paws, always searching, always believing, always finding those who needed him most. And Jack followed, secure in the knowledge that in a world full of uncertainty, some bonds never waver, some hearts never falter, and some heroes never stop searching for those who are lost.